It's been a tricky week for Spurs, going out to Chelsea in the League Cup semi-final and then out of the FA Cup, both to London sides, in just 4 days. We've now got a couple of days until the end of the transfer window shuts. So do Spurs need to spend a bit of money to save their season, or will top four just be enough for both the club and the fans? I've got my boy, bit of flames on a Monday to heat everyone up. I've got Flav with me right now. Hello, mate. How are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad. Yeah, still in the FA Cup, so buzzing actually. Had to get that in quickly. Yeah, just about hanging on by a thread. Right, I'm going to start off with a quote. This is what Pochettino had to say. And what I'm interested to talk about with you on this one, mate, is I think everyone can do the sort of Spurs banter stuff with the trophies and all of that stuff. But Pochettino, after he goes out of those two tournaments, he's got to say something. But what he said yesterday, how does this quote make you feel? So Spurs unable to make a comeback. Pochettino expanded on his argument about how winning trophies only leads to bigger egos. So he says this: "We're going to create a debate that to win a trophy is going to help the club. I don't agree with that. That only builds your ego. In reality, the most important thing is being consistently in the top four and playing Champions League. That is going to help the club make the next step." So some people obviously gone quick to go, because the easy stick to beat Spurs with is that they haven't won a trophy in a long, long time. How do you feel when I read that quote out to you?
Don't feel anything. He's right. He's 100% right. What does winning an FA Cup mean to a club that needs significant finances in order to build a legitimate title race or a jaunt at a Champions League trophy? You know, from his perspective, he doesn't keep a job by winning League Cups or winning FA Cups. You know, was it £6 million for winning an FA Cup? 70 million by getting to the last 16 in Champions League. Nah. People are pissed off at Pochettino, pissed off at Tottenham. The Tottenham fans are annoyed at the way he treated that game. Don't be annoyed at Pochettino. Be annoyed at the way the game is. Be annoyed at the amount of money there is in the Champions League. Because why wouldn't our priority be the top four if it means that down the road there's more opportunity to get actual, even more glory, or just financially secure the football club and pay off the stadium quicker? From a fan's perspective, we want trophies, but this isn't a fan's game. It hasn't been a fan's game for years. It's a sport. It's not just sport. It's a business. It's about money. That's what it's about. Pochettino's job is in order to keep it, is to best serve the interests of his chairman, which is Daniel Levy, who owns the football club. He doesn't own a membership of fans. He doesn't. His job there isn't to placate and please fans. Because if it was, he wouldn't have. He'd be investing in the team rather than the stadium.
Well, yeah, I mean, we'll get on to the transfers and if those need to be made in the next few days before the transfer window ends for your season. Because I think you make a lot of good points there, and I think what's obviously easy for everyone to jump on is the fact that Arsene Wenger made the exact same comments, and he got. I feel like those comments that he made about it being about the top four and not being about trophies as much, or those trophies like the League Cup or the FA Cup, that feels like it was a turning point for Arsene Wenger and the feeling of the fans towards that manager. Pochettino's made one final since 2014, hasn't won a trophy yet with them. Do you worry, because I swear we've had these kind of conversations, do you worry that this might be a moment, or this season might be the start of the tipping point from that kind of happy to be starting to be in the room and moving the club forward and getting it to a level where you're finishing above Arsenal, you're making these semi-finals, you're in the Champions League each year, and it turning onto that tipping point where the expectations kind of get ahead of you? Yeah,
but you got to caveat all of that with the fact that we're spending £1 billion on the stadium. So yeah, look, the expectation has risen because of what Pochettino's done. He's created this level of expectation. He's created us,
like Wenger did.
Exactly. To have the arrogance to believe that we should win anything at all. Why should we? What gives Tottenham a right to win a trophy more than any other side in the Premier League? There can only be one winner of the Premier League. There can only be one winner of the FA Cup. There is often not a winner from the Premier League in the Champions League competition. So really, you're talking about two competitions that actually serve the purpose of a top 6 football club now, and that's the Premier League and the Champions League. And the fact is, winning those isn't important anymore. It's just qualifying to get the money. Just to go back to the point and answer your question, we're in a situation where we can demand to continue to improve the team so that we could potentially win Premier Leagues and FA Cups in the future because of what Pochettino's done. Now to not give him the grace and time to get past this period where we don't have any money to spend because of the transfer is ridiculous. It's so short-termist, and it's a part of the problem with what modern football fans, or not even modern football, just football fans, the way they view their club. Like they want us to blood young players, but not Kyle Walker-Peters. He's shit. Not Skip. He's too young. He's shit. So all right, well, don't blood players then. You want us to win cup competitions? Well, let's go into every game like we can win it in the FA Cup. Play a full strength side. Well, what about the league game on Wednesday? Or should we play a full strength side again? What about the league game on the Saturday after? So it's so easy to be reactive after losing a game like we did yesterday against Palace. It's the easiest thing to say it's all shit, rather than taking a step back and go, actually, I can understand why that team was played. And don't get me wrong, I looked at the start-up and I was like, what? He's thrown the game, because it was mental. None of those players had played together. We played we played three at the back at the start with Kyle Walker-Peters as a left wing back. He's right wing back. I know he's played that way before, but he isn't. That's not his natural position. Dyer was on the left of a 2-man midfield when he's blatantly right-footed. Hugely weighted on his right side. So, I don't know.
Though, even in the tone of your voice, though, all that said, all that sensibleness that's come out of your mouth just there, you're still pissed off, aren't you? I can tell you're pissed off.
I'm pissed off at the kind of the same boring reactions every single time we lose or draw a game, and it's not just us; it's everyone. Like you go on AFTV. Like the shit they're coming out this season is much more pathetic than when they were coming out with under Wenger, and it's like what are we? What are we as football fans? We're pathetic. None of us know. We're just like.
Well, it's about perspective, isn't it? And the ability to keep a hold of that. You're allowed to lose it in the moment in terms of in the 90 minutes. But we all should be a bit more mature and able to deal with it afterwards, right?
Yeah, of course. I don't care really how you. I know losing a game is difficult and it's frustrating, and it's fine to be emotional.
Yeah.
But when you can't take a step back and look at the situation for what it is and understand that there is no money to spend in transfer fees. We are building this stadium. We are, Pochettino has come out multiple times and said it's very hard to strengthen. I know we're going to talk about the transfer window in a moment, but it's
where do you sit on that then? Because look, I get that the stadium's been built and that's going to affect the amount of revenue that you've got to spend on players. But also, I'm sure you said this to me before, that he said that wouldn't. Daniel Levy said that wouldn't really affect all of that. So getting back to the situation on the pitch right now, because as important as top 4 is, the current situation is you've lost 2 out of the last 3 games since Harry Kane's gone out. The other one was the Fulham game where he won in the last minute against a team that are looking like they might be destined to go down. So that's not a good sort of state of affairs, and that's because the squad it feels like it's totally stretched, especially once you lose some of your really, really important players. So all that said, with a few days left of the transfer window and your next 3 games all being at home and then the Borussia Dortmund game in Champions League, do you think that you need to try and get someone through the door to freshen it up, just to add another body that can do the right kind of job for you guys?
I mean, what? I mean, what would anybody assume that we do? So we've got Harry Kane, who's going to be back in 7 weeks. What, we spend £60 million on a striker that's going to be out of the team in 70 weeks, in 7-8 weeks. We've got Son coming back. Look,
the weird thing is that of the people that have been offered, that it's actually midfielders that you seem to be linked with. The only forward that you've been linked with is Malcolm.
We need midfielders. You think a team that we've had terrible luck with injuries. You've got Dele Alli's out for 2 months. You've got Son had to go away, and then Kane is out injured. Take three forwards out of any team on earth.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So what? So given the fact that there's a finite amount of period that they're going to be out of the side, then it's a very difficult and weird way to look at a transfer. It's just like, let's buy loads of players and get them in.
No, but it's by one, isn't it? You need one, don't you think? At least. So do you think more Lamela and Llorente? That's enough to get you through this period? And
well, no, Son's back in training, so he's back with us now. So that's not an issue. He's back. He can lead the line. He has done previously. Lamela and Llorente isn't the answer, definitely not. But with Son, it's much more kind of, looking at those 3 home games with Son up the top, you're thinking, okay, well, there shouldn't be much of a problem here. Son would get into almost any team in the Premier League. So if he's leading our line, then there's less of an issue. Midfielders are where we need. We do need midfielders. That's if you have to strengthen any part of our squad, it's that centre midfield, just to give options to Sissoko and Winks. So yeah, and just a quick thing on those 3 games that we lost 2 out of the last 3. Chelsea had a full strength side. We had one of the weakest first 11s we played in the last 4 years, and we did not deserve to go out on penalties in that game. That's the way the game went. But in fact, to go to Stamford Bridge to compete with them in the way that they did, they've got one of the best players on earth on their side. Real Madrid are preferring him over to Eriksen for their transfer targets. So that shows how good he is. For us to do that with Llorente up front, it was a great performance. Second half against Palace, we could have scored that penalty, scored a couple of those Llorente chances, then would have drawn it and taken it back, and we would have a different conversation. Sometimes the performances don't match the result.
Yeah, I think also it is fine lines, isn't it? It is fine lines, but it does. I think the worry you would have, a worry a Spurs fan could have, is that when it could accumulate, and it's starting to accumulate with the difficult week and a half that you've had. But as I say in that sentence, it's a week and a half in what's been a very good 4 or 5 years for Spurs. So
I mean, it is just a week or a 10-day period in what has been a great 5 years so far. And look, we knew when these injuries were going to happen that there were going to be big challenges. It's unfortunate it's happened in a month where there's so many important games. There's going to be Dortmund. We're going to be playing Chelsea in the league and Arsenal in the league. And if we'd have got through that semi-final against Chelsea in the League Cup, we'd have then had to play Man City with the squad that we've got currently and all the injuries at Wembley. So while I would have loved to have been in that final, I also think like getting pumped 6-0 by Man City would have been equally as bad and met with the same level of, that's not the right attitude. You've got to go into it.
Oh, mate.
That is the right attitude. But do you know what I mean? It's a part of it. It's a part of following the football club.
Well, and I think the frustration with which you're speaking with whilst also being sensible is exactly what is, that's perfect for what we want on Bull Street, which is like an actual proper discussion, but still with the passions of whatever fan and how they're feeling. And that's where Spurs are at this moment in time. You've got to,
Look, I'll tell you what, Jim, right? If we were having this conversation in 2 years' time and the stadium's been built, the season ticket holders are in there, we're watching our football at our home ground, and we're still not buying, and we're hamstrung by this stadium for the next 10 years and we cannot buy, and we're not winning trophies, I'll be having a different conversation with you. Yeah. But I can always taper my frustrations by caveating it with what's actually going on at the ground at the moment. Yeah,
absolutely. No, I think that's a reasonable way of putting it. And you just need those. And look, those Dele Alli, Harry Kane, and Son losing those 3 is just, it's a stinker, isn't it? For any squad, any team to stay at the front 3, it's a killer.
I mean, barring maybe. I mean, if you took out Firmino, Salah, and Mane out of Liverpool, then that's comparable.
Yeah,
it's same for Arsenal. Imagine taking Aubameyang, Lacazette, and not even Ozil. Like, I don't know.
Blade, is it? Yeah. I think that puts it into perspective. You're right, mate.
It is what it is. We do need a deeper squad, but we haven't got one. And the reason why is because we've got no money, because we've built this £1 billion stadium, which all of us wanted. So look, you've got to just get on with it sometimes, and it's not the end of the world. And Spurs will be fine. Look at the predicaments of other football clubs. QPR.
Still in the FA Cup.
It's true. But what I'm saying is that sometimes you've got to look. Just look Look, I mean, give me an example of another football. I think Liverpool, the example that people want us to follow, and it's okay for Liverpool to spend 150 million pound on two players that completely fixed them and almost made them what they needed to be. But they're not spending £1 billion on a stadium. And the fact is, the transfer budget was ring fenced originally, but then the stadium overrun by what is now kind of 8 months. So you can't legislate for that. It should have been legislated for, but what does Levy do? Do you go, oh, look, we're going to build this stadium. What he should have done would have been like some sort of Brexit public referendum to Spurs fans who said, look, we're going to build this stadium, but there's going to be no money for like 4 years. Do you want it still? Yeah. Then that would have been a fair thing to ask.
What would the vote have been? What would the score have been, do you think?
I think it would have been close. I think about 49-51.
What, leave?
For me...
leave for a year.
I'd have probably gone for the new stadium. Right. Maybe it's just the old ones.
Does that mean you're a Brexiteer?
No. Yes. Yeah. That would have mean
You would have leave. You would have been leave. Yeah.
Leave. That would have been leave.
Right.
I'm not either anymore. I don't understand any of it. I don't know what's going on. So
yeah, it'll be. I'm sure it'll all settle itself out. Right. Bit of politics at the end there. Only on Ball Street. Flav, thank you very much. I'll see you later in the week for a bit of one for the weekend action where we have an update from Bagel Guy. Very excited to reveal that to you. If you have no idea what Bagel Guy is, then head over to the One for the Weekend podcast where you can see me and Flav chatting a little bit more. Let us know your thoughts on Spurs. If you were a Spurs fan, you had that same decision, would you have voted leave? Let us know in the comments below. And who should Spurs sign if they are going to spend any money in the last few days of the transfer window? If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and we'll see you soon.